I have been a Samsung Galaxy Note fan from almost the very beginning. I missed out on the original Note, but I was introduced with the Galaxy Note 2, and I was just blown away with the ability to always have a pen with you and to be able to quickly hover over something and certain things would pop up on screen. Then Samsung introduced the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 with this quite interesting back here, but it still improved on the Note phone by coming out with a bigger screen and continued to improve the cameras. Then we saw the Galaxy Note 4, which improved on the sensitivity of the screen. So you had much more pressure points and it just worked really well. Then with the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 here, Samsung made a few changes where they introduced this brand new design where it was completely sealed. They removed the removable battery, which many people were upset with. And then I was mostly upset with them removing the SD card. But overall, it was a great phone. It had wireless charging and a S Pen that got stuck one way. Oh, I got it out. And sometimes the other way, but still improving on that S Pen. Now with the introduction of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, Samsung introduced the brand new battery that would explode and just the most beautiful phone. So a ton of cool things were introduced with that, but sadly nobody could use it. Then with the introduction of the Galaxy Note 8, Samsung continued to improve on that design that we never got to use, and it made the phone better and better. And then moving on to the Galaxy Note 9, it introduced the Bluetooth features on the pen where you can push a button and it would record or take a picture and do some really cool things. Then Samsung came out with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus, which introduced this Aura Glow color, which is probably one of the coolest phones that I have ever seen. And they continued to add more things with the S Pen. Now you could do the different actions where you can zoom in and out, still making it a really amazing device, especially with those awesome cameras on the phone. Now at the time, I didn't really take much notice to the Galaxy Note 10, but I was really excited that Samsung finally released a phone that wasn't as big and was able to be used by more people that would like to have the pen. I would really like to see the S Pen introduced into the Galaxy S line of phones on the smaller devices, but it was great to see that Samsung was kind of headed in the right direction. And now let's move on to 2020. So Samsung introduced a few different phones this year. Here we have the Galaxy Note 20, which is definitely overpriced and underspec'd. And next we have the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G, which is definitely overpriced and hyped up a lot. And then here we had the S20 Ultra, which I have a lot of feelings about. And so in today's video, I'm calling for an official boycott of the Samsung Galaxy Ultra line of phones. And I have a few reasons why. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Tech with Brett, where I help tech work for you. Now on this channel, I haven't been very opinionated on how I feel like a phone should go. Usually I just get the phone and show off the cool features that it can have. But as these phones have gotten more expensive and bigger, I now feel like I have a more important role here to be able to help you guys decide what is the best phone for you. And so today I'm going to tell you my experience to help you choose the right phone and hopefully to steer Samsung in a direction that we want these phones to go. So this all started 6 months ago when I purchased the S20 Ultra. Now this phone is a beast. It's got a huge camera, huge battery, it's very heavy, and it is very large. Within the first 2 weeks of using this phone, my pinky was hurting because I was holding the phone like this, resting it on my pinky. That's usually how I'm scrolling through the phone, and it just hurt. I even put this in an OtterBox case and it was so big. And I'm like, man, why did I buy this big phone? So after a few weeks, I finally got used to it. But then I started to notice that my phone wasn't as fast and as great as I thought it would be. I've had tons of different Samsung phones over the years, and this has probably been one of the most worst performing phones that I've ever had. I had all kinds of problems with the camera. I remember trying to take a picture of my tape measure and I could not get it to focus on the tape measure. It was always focusing on the background. When I take a picture of my kids, they end up coming out blurry, and just all the time it is focusing on the wrong item. And I thought it was gonna have a great camera because it's got 108 megapixels, it's got 100 times space zoom, all those cool things. but it just didn't live up to what it said it could do. Now next, the phone, it's an Ultra, big screen, but that also comes with a massive phone that's too hard to use. So trying to reach up to your notification panel or just trying to reach to certain parts of the screen was very hard. Now, most people would just say, well, use two hands. Well, that's not always feasible. I have 3 kids. I'm always running around trying to find something for them to watch, a game to play, or find out the next activity we're gonna do. And so juggling all of that isn't always easy to do, and so I'm not always able to use 2 hands to work on the phone. And then I've also had some issues with Bluetooth headphones. I've been trying out all kinds of different headphones, and sometimes they come out with just really low quality in the earbud, but I know they sound much better on other devices. So really, it's just not been a great experience with the S20 Ultra. And again, that battery bump on the back is just huge. And because of that, I've had to use the slimmest case you can. It's a really great case. This is by Pitaka, but it's not as protected as maybe some people would like it to be. So then Samsung introduces the Galaxy Note 20 and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Now during the presentation, the Note Ultra looks amazing. They have all the newest features, the newest hardware, the biggest, best cameras, and the biggest screen. But then the Note 20 didn't get all of that, but it costs less. One of my favorite tweets talking about the introduction of the Note 20 was by Tech Odyssey. Here he says, in comparison the Pixel 4a, which I'm holding right here, and the Note 20, they both have a 1080p screen, OLED, they have 60 Hz refresh rate, a great camera experience, 128 gig of storage, they're made of plastic, and here is the price difference. Yes, that is quite different between these, and so far with my Pixel 4a experience, it definitely is worth it at that price. Still yet to be determined if the Note 20 is worth it for that price. Now, the Pixel 4a has really been outstanding. It's had a great camera, better camera than my Ultra, just because of how Google is able to process that. Here you can see some different examples. If I put up a picture right here, what do you think this picture was taken on? That would be the Pixel 4a. And then here, what about this one? This one was taken on the Galaxy S20 Ultra. So now there's definitely a big difference there. Now there has been a few good pictures that I've taken with the Ultra, but nothing that I've been like, oh, this is amazing. It still has problems focusing, and I'm focusing on my kids. It's always trying to focus on the wrong thing in the background. So that has been a huge disappointment. So now let's take a look at some of the main differences between the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. So I mentioned they are $300 difference. Well, what do you really get with that $300? Now, when I first ordered my phones, there wasn't really a comparison on Samsung's website. They just didn't have that option available. So I kind of had to do my own research, but now they do have a bit more of a breakdown on the website. So here it says go big or go bigger. So you get the 6.7 inch on the Note 20 and you get 6.9 inch on the Ultra. Same screen size as the S20 Ultra, but the phone itself, it looks like they did shave 1 millimeter or 2 off of it. So maybe it's not as big and doesn't weigh as much, but still I think it's too big of a device. Scrolling through down here, you do have the different cameras. So here it's talking about the Note 20 gets a 3 times and then 30 times zoom, and the Ultra gets 5 times and a 50 times zoom. Here with the batteries, you get 4,300 on the Note 20, 4,500 on the Note 20 Ultra. And then let's go here and do a little more comparison. And then here under storage, so the Note 20 gets 128 gig of storage, same as a Pixel 4a. And here the Note 20 Ultra, 128 gig of storage. Again, that's so low. If I was gonna go with the Note 20 Ultra, I would have gone with the higher storage at 512 gigabytes, but that's gonna cost me, I think, another $150. So now you're out almost $1,500 for a phone when all you wanna do is increase the internal storage. And then the other part here is there is no micro SD card on the Note 20. Samsung, it's not a Samsung unless it has a micro SD card. Please add that back. So that's one of the major disappointments on the Note 20 is not having the micro SD card. But I have Dropbox and Google Photos and all those backup services now. So I'm gonna do my best to delete things often, but on my Note 20 Ultra, I have 512 gigabytes. I've already filled up probably 300 gigabytes of internal storage just because I do a lot of 4K recording. If you're gonna try recording in 8K, you're gonna be out of storage very, very soon. So there you go, that's the difference there. So I don't know if it's worth it to spend $300 and you still only get 128 gig of storage, but you do get the SD card, so I'll give them that. The processor, they're both the Snapdragon 865 Plus. RAM, you get 8 gig on the Note 20. You get the 12 gig of RAM on the Ultra. Now I think I have 16 gig of RAM on the S20 Ultra and it's lagged, so I don't know how much of an improvement that makes. They both do come with 5G, which 4G LTE, and the millimeter wave, so that's nice. Next we go into cameras. So the Note 20 gets the 64 and the 10 megapixel. The Ultra gets the 108 and the 10 megapixel. You get scene optimizer. Here, your aperture is about the same. On the telephoto lens, you have a lower aperture. Flaw detection, and then lastly, the screen quality. So here, you get the 6.7-inch screen, but it's a full HD plus. And then here on the Note 20 Ultra, you get a 6.9-inch Edge Infinity O display, Quad HD plus Dynamic AMOLED 2X screen. Now, one of the weird things is if you get the Ultra, you get 120 hertz, but you can't use that high a quality with the 120 hertz. So you're gonna end up using a 1080p screen anyway, just to get the 120 hertz. So why are you paying more for that when you can't even use it? And with my Pixel 4 XL, I have a 90 hertz screen. It's awesome to be able to refresh with that refresh rate, but it costs way less than either of these. So why can't you include that on the Note 20? Why can't you even just do 90 hertz? You don't have to go all the way up to 120 hertz. And so let me show you kind of what that looks like. And so here you can see as an example, when I'm scrolling through the web page, you can see the Note 20 stuttering a lot and the Ultra is really smooth. So that is probably my favorite feature about the S20 Ultra, having that 120 hertz refresh rate. But again, why do you need to have such a high quality screen if you ended up can't use it because you go with 120 hertz? So I wouldn't pay more for your phone just because you then can't use that higher quality screen. And that's the comparison spec-wise between the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. So there is quite a bit there, but I don't know if it's worth that extra money to get those features. So now let's compare the size. So here you can see the Note 20 versus the S20 Ultra. So it's quite a bit bigger, and then this does stick out way further because of that camera bump. Now the S20 does have a camera bump there, but it's nowhere near the size of the Ultra. Here, if we look at the Note 10 Plus, you can see that it's just about the same size, which I think is an amazing size of screen. I want the highest quality in this size of phone. I don't want to pay the extra. I'd be willing to pay more if I can get a Note 20 size with all the specs, but I don't want to pay more to get a bigger phone that is going to be too big. I hope that makes sense. See the Note 10 Plus, maybe I should just keep this and not trade it in because it's such a great size. So here the Note 10 Plus is a tiny bit wider than the Note 20. And now one of the things that really helped me understand this a bit more is Pitaka sent out their cases, again, the slim case, but when comparing these two, so let's put this case on, and then here you can see the size that the Note 20 Ultra would be. So there you can see it's still bigger, just like the Ultra is gonna be. Of course, there's no case on this, so again, 1 or 2 millimeters smaller, but it still has that huge camera bump that so far everyone is complaining about that camera bump. And so here on the Note 20, it does have a slight camera bump, but it's not gonna be that big compared to the Ultra line. So that's just a quick comparison. Now, just for fun, here you go. Here's a size comparison between the Pixel 4a and the Note 20. So you are paying a lot more and you do get a bigger screen. So good job, Samsung. The camera hole is just about the same size on both of those phones. Now let me jump to the last reason in which you should buy the Note 20 over the Note 20 Ultra. And this is because of the main reason it is a Note, which is the S Pen. So here, if we pull out the S Pen, it is on the other side. So that's a little bit different. But when we pull out the S Pen here on both of these phones, So on my Note 10 Plus, let's say I'm writing something, but I want to draw to the very edge. So there you can see that my lines kind of get curved when I'm trying to draw over at the very edge of the screen. And there, when I was drawing this way, I wasn't even getting to the edge of the screen. So I can't use the full real estate of the screen with the S Pen because it is curved. And that's gonna be the same thing on the Note 20 Ultra. And one other thing there is people keep talking about accidental touches. That happens all the time on the curved screen. I'm holding my Ultra, I'm accidentally touching the side of the screen. There's really no way around it, even if they have software to hopefully stop that. Now let's take a look at the Note 20 here. So if I'm drawing, you now hear something when you draw, which is kind of cool. But if I draw to the very edge, look, it draws to the very edge of the screen and it isn't getting messed up by a curve. So this is exactly what a Note should be. This is the way it was all the way up until the Galaxy Note 5. It was a flat screen. It was just amazing to draw on. Then they tried to make it all fancy with the curve, and I'd say the curve is not the way to go on a Note. If you want to have a Note, I would highly recommend going with the flat screen because you're going to be able to actually use the full screen there like you paid for. And last, let's do a latency test. So here, this is the Note 10 Plus. So this is 46 milliseconds latency. So drawing there, you can't even see it lag behind. And so here it's improved on the Note 20. So for me, I don't know, it looks great on both of these phones. So having that 7 millisecond latency is really not a huge deal. Maybe if you are a professional artist, you really need to have that. That's great. You probably actually already have an iPad Pro with that and you're never going to be buying a Samsung phone. But I'd say for a Galaxy Note phone, having that high of milliseconds is really not necessary because you can't even notice it here. Maybe if we looked under a high-end camera, we would be able to see a difference there, but it hasn't really been an issue. But I am excited to see that it's improved on the Note 20 as well. Really, they should have just added that to the Note 20 and not just the Note 20 Ultra. So there you go. That is my rant about the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. Samsung, don't make the Ultra anymore. Just make a Galaxy Note phone that has all the specs in 2 sizes, and I'll pay more if it is in a smaller size. I'd be willing to do that. Don't limit those that want a smaller phone with less specs. It's not very nice. So you really have 2 options. You can buy the Note 20 and you have a flat screen, which is great. You spend less money. You have a plastic back, which I don't really care about. You don't get a micro SD card. That's kind of the worst part about it. And you probably have a really good quality phone with good enough cameras. Or you can buy the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, which is too big. It costs a lot of money. You don't get extra storage for spending that amount of money. You get a few spec upgrades and you get a really big camera bump on the back. So really it's up to you in which you choose. I'm gonna stick with the Note 20. I think it's really the best option for a Note phone, and I might end up even picking up the Galaxy Fold 2 soon, so spending so much money isn't really needed at this time. The Note 20 is gonna be a great phone that's gonna last a while. So if you have any further questions about the Note 20 or any of these differences, please let me know in the comments below. And if you just wanna pick up the Note 10 Plus or wanna know more about it, I'll leave a link to some of my videos over here on the side so you can learn about what it can do without having to purchase any of these new phones. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. You guys have a great launch day. We'll see you